estrogen, synthetic estrogen, right? And those are things like plastics, deodorants, lotions, etc., 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 right? Creating those types of things. Now, my bag. I love this. Now, what I want to talk about is the World Health Organization real quick, because they've known this thing was coming down the pipeline for some time. And I just want to find the page so I have the numbers right. All right? Okay, now, this is what we have to know. Post-World War II. Post-World War II, and this is just one page I'm going to read you out of Black Genetics 3. Post-World War II, sperm counts dropped 75%. Testicular cancer has doubled in the last 10 years alone. The average 20-year-old today has half the sperm of his father. Now watch this, half the sperm of his father, right? So let's just make it real simple and say that in daddy's shot, there's 100 healthy sperm cells ready to go. That means today, in the son's shot, there's only 50. But here's the second part to that. 85% of those sperm cells are dead or already abnormal, which means that there's actually only 10 to 15 healthy sperm cells as opposed to dad's 100. Okay? That is enough for global panic. Now, this is where the World Health Organization steps in. Every 10 years, for the last 50 years, they've been lowering the amount of sperm activity for you to be a healthy man. Meaning, there was one point when if they tested you, you had to have 60 million swimming healthy sperm in your ejaculation for you to be a healthy man. As the quality of living dropped, meaning more chemicals were added to the diet, that went down to 50 and 40,000. So, instead of the World Health Organization ruling out entire countries of men as sterile, right? Because the main people affected by this are European. Black people are also affected, so don't get it twisted, but they get hit the hardest. So they would have to label whole countries as sterile. They didn't want to do that. So they dropped the average from 60 to 50. 10 years later, they had to drop it from 50 to 40, from 40 to 30, 30 to 20. Now they're contemplating dropping it down to 10 because they don't want to say that 80% of the men on this planet do not have healthy enough penises to produce a child. So, when people ask me, Minister, how do we know these herbs work? I just had 2 sets of twins. No, I got 10 altogether. So, you can speculate whether it's working or not. But it's working. Now, here's the problem with the food. And I'm so embarrassed right now. Let me say I'm embarrassed because I don't remember the brother's name. All right? But it's a black scientist. Tyrone something. That's right. He brought this to the forefront about atrazine. So let me show you guys this. Atrazine. Good. All right, and right there I got the chemical formula next to it. All right? What is it that you need to know about atrazine? Atrazine is the world's #1 fertilizer slash pesticide. What do you mean fertilizer slash pesticide? Because the same chemicals are in the pesticide as the fertilizer. I kid you not. #1. That means that 99% of every single commercial fruit and vegetable is drenched in atrazine. Drenched in it. So every time you're getting, this is why the organic comes into play, because organic doesn't mean it's natural, because you have organic fruit that don't have seeds. So you know that's not natural. But what they're telling you about organic, and they're using a euphemistic definition of organic, right, is that there are no fertilizers and pesticides there. Because the scientific definition of organic has nothing to do with that. It just means whether there's carbon in the molecular structure of a thing or not. So you have plenty of things that are organic that are poisonous. Plenty of things that are natural that are poisonous. This planet produces just as many nutrients as it does toxins. So don't be fooled by a label saying 100% natural. What does that mean? Ammonia is 100% natural. Drink a bottle and take your ass. You know, so we have to understand we need a little bit more research into these things. They have us mapped down to a science. And for my family out there, I know we like to blow bud. I know we like to blow bud. However, you do have to understand that marijuana will boost your estrogen levels. Marijuana will boost your estrogen levels. Yes, marijuana will boost estrogen in your body. So, for people dealing with fibroids, cysts, tumors, things like that, you may not want to smoke weed dealing with those situations because it's going to increase the estrogen level. Unless you know how to balance that out with supporting supplementation to bring up your anabolic hormones like testosterone, insulin, etc., etc. So, yeah, so what was the exact question you was going to ask about weed? Because people were asking me about weed everywhere right now because every other state, like every other week, a new state's becoming legal. And the whole idea behind that is this. What most people don't understand, and this is where I give Dr. Ali Muhammad credit, when he deals with law and nationality. One of the main things we have to understand is that when we look at a city's budget, 95% of any city's budget is based on crime. They keep the schools running, the road paved, the lights, everything that your city the city handles is paid for with crime. So before the city can even change the way they're operating, they have to find a new source to keep them alive. So when California tested the weed out and they made a couple billion in, what, 9 months or something crazy like that, everybody got the light bulb and saw a way to restructure their city in a way where it's kind of in sync with the ideologies, quote unquote, that America's supposed to represent. So the marijuana has a lot more to do with our social and political construct than people think, as well as the financial. So, I mean, it's so much to talk about weed. 99% of the weed that we blowing right now is hybrid. So when you go online and you see all these health benefits to weed, that has nothing to do with the hybrid. The bubble kush, the European this one, and the sweet this, and the cotton candy, all kinds. Like, that is not medical marijuana. Medical marijuana, first of all, is a plant with a seed. It got to grow in the ground. So the moment that they removed it from the ground and started growing it in the hydroponics in the water, that's when the hybridization started, because once you grow it in water, it's easy to introduce chemicals into the weed to change the growth, etc., etc., etc. Now, take this from an herbalist. No plant, all right? So this is just another level for you to think about. There's no plant that grows the exact same way every harvest, because every season you have a different amount of rainfall, different amount of sunlight. The plants are in different positions, etc., etc., etc. So what am I talking about? When you keep going to the same weed guy, and every time you buy the weed, it's the same potency, you know that that's synthetic. Because those cannot be natural plants grown in a natural setting, because then they would have a natural differentiation based on season and harvest. So this is why I tell people with my herbs, give or take, because it depends on the season and the harvest. So there's a lot of different things we got to take into consideration with our body chemistry. You know, if you're going to deal with the bud, you know, try to understand the science. Stop blowing it. Try to eat it. You know, that's where you get the medicinal and that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And this is specifically for Colorado, Detroit, etc., etc., etc. Gotta put my disclaimer in there. Do not break the laws of your municipality. All right? Follow the law. But you.
So I don't know if you're a vegan, or are you a vegan?
Yes. Well,
Okay,
I'll fluctuate.
Well, before that, keep the mic, yeah, because I'm gonna talk through it.
Oh.
Now, one of the main things you hear vegans complain about with the meat eaters is that they say that the meat that we're getting, the way they slaughter the meat, the animal releases a toxin. And once we eat that meat, we're ingesting those toxins of fear or whatever it was that the animal secreted at the time of murder, because they're not doing it in a way that's beneficial to you or the animal. They're just cold-blooded killing the animal. Real quick. So, recent studies have found out that there's plants. I think the plant name is a Dale crest or something like that. It's related to the collard green. This plant, when it heard munching from caterpillars and it sensed danger or that it was about to be eaten, it released some type of chemical like a mustard gas, I think they said. So they complain and say, why would you eat animals that's a living creature? I'm going to ask a vegan, Minister Inky, why they can, a person that eats animals can easily look at you and say, Minister Inky, these plants are living creatures just like these motherfucking animals. You can't get at me for eating these animals at just as much as you eating these plants, because you're killing a living creature. When you play a certain music, the plant reacts to it. So what do you have to say to a meat eater who might pose that question to you, Minister Inky?
Damn, Rich, I thought I was on the couch for a second. That's a hot question, boy. But no, I get that question, so I get it. Here's the thing, and this is what I often tell people, and this is what you got to get. When you deal with the vegan/vegetarian community, and this is really something we got to understand, there are two groups. The larger vegan-vegetarian community is run and facilitated by Europeans. That whole system is not based on health. That's not based on black genetics. That's not based on our survival. That's not based on anything but the European knowing in his heart and his mind and his soul, and all his research has confirmed that he comes from those animals. So he feels a kindred to those animals that he doesn't feel towards you. So the whole larger vegan/vegetarian movement has nothing to do with health. It's all about not eating animals. The smaller vegan-vegetarian community, which I represent and I belong to, we don't really give a fuck about the animals. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm a vegan/vegetarian for my own personal health. So my thing is we have to save us first before we can worry about the plants or the animals. So it's not a moral issue for me. I know that there's nothing that I can get out of eating a dead animal that's going to benefit me. So when people say, oh, well, we need protein, here's the problem with that. They're not researching. They're just saying that because they heard other people saying that. Because your body does not need protein. Your body needs amino acids. Amino acids is what your DNA and RNA use to create your own proteins, because everybody's body is unique. So every cell in your body has billions and trillions of them. Every single cell needs unique proteins. That's why you have DNA. DNA is to give the blueprint to how to build proteins. That's